Tonight I'm here with Heather Goodwin, who's got an amazing story to tell. Unbelievable. You've lost 275 pounds, Heather.
Yeah,
My
so far.
gosh. Amazing. I can't even begin to fathom your story. I mean, when you began your and it's a plant-based journey that you did, what health issues were you faced with?
Well, I was really in terrible shape, Jean. When I first started, at my highest weight, I would say at my darkest hour, I weighed 436 pounds.
Wow.
And if you could see me, you would see that I'm only about 5'2". So I'm not a very tall person. And if you calculate that out, that's a BMI of almost 80. That is a BMI of
Wow.
79.7. So I was in rough shape from head to toe. I had probably the most serious things where I had really high cholesterol. It was over 400, high triglycerides. I was taking 3 different blood pressure medicines, and still my blood pressure was elevated to scary levels. But the thing that bothered me the most is I was just in constant pain, from head to toe, from migraines to plantar fasciitis. I had knee pain and back pain, and I just couldn't. When you're that big, when you lay down, it puts pressure on any one area. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just feel like I didn't get a good night's sleep for about five
Oh.
years. I mean,
Wow.
I was in pretty terrible shape. I had sleep apnea, I had asthma. I could only walk from my desk at work to the bathroom without being like huffing and puffing and out of breath and my heart pounding. And
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I was dying.
Well,
I was,
I know along the way your trip included, your journey included a trip to the emergency room. What happened there?
yeah. So right around that time, I was taking a lot of ibuprofen because I was just
Hmm.
in so much pain.
Wow.
I was a smiley, like pretty positive person. And I hit it. I thought I hit it pretty well,
Hmm.
but I was just in constant pain. And so one night I'm laying in bed and I start to really have chest pain. And
Wow.
when you weigh that much and you get chest pain, you pay attention, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was alarming. And I thought to myself, it was about midnight, and I said, if it doesn't go away, in a few hours, maybe I'll call the advice nurse or maybe I'll go into the doctor.
Right.
And 5 in the morning, I was in worse and worse pain, and I was terrified that I was having a heart attack. And I woke my sister up and asked her to take me to the hospital. And I got there, and thank God I was not having a heart attack, but it was pretty darn bad. I had actually taken so much ibuprofen and for so long that I had made a hole in my esophagus and in my stomach. I had to,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And that's what I was
Wow.
feeling, was from the pain from that. And
Yeah.
it just was a wake up call because I felt like I dodged a bullet. I didn't have a heart attack this time, but you know, the next time I
Hmm.
could. It wasn't the first time that I made a really concerted effort, but it definitely renewed my
Your
resolve to
your
do it.
resolve. Well, how did they come up with that diagnosis?
Oh my goodness. Well, first they rule out that you're having a heart attack by doing blood tests and
Hmm.
testing for cardiac enzymes. And so then you get to have a lovely camera go down your throat. And that is a really awful
Oh.
test. Yes. So that wasn't pleasant either. But the funny thing is, I went to a certain doctor after that emergency room because I had the emergency room doctor tell me, absolutely, several medications you're taking, you need to stop taking. You can't take those anymore.
Oh wow.
So I went to the doctor to, say, I can't
What are
take
my
these anymore.
options?
What should I do? Right. And his reaction was, nope, you need these medicines. And so we're just going to give you like a protonics or a medicine that'll turn off the acid pump in your stomach and heal your stomach, but you're still going to take all these drugs. And I said, well, what about diet and exercise? I've understand that I could get a lot of health relief from doing these. What do you think about this idea? And he almost laughed at me. He told me at the
Oh,
point that I was at, a gastric bypass would be a really good idea for me. It would probably be the only thing that would help, and it would only maybe have me take off possibly half of the weight that I needed to. You know, he said I could expect 100 to 150 pounds, and I really needed to take off 300. You know, and he told me the chances of you taking off 300 pounds and keeping it off are roughly equivalent to winning the lottery and being struck by lightning. And
oh,
I
thank you
left.
for those comforting
I
words,
know,
Doc. Hey.
I know. It was really discouraging, but part of it maybe it was a good thing, you know. Maybe it was a big favor he did me because I went out of that office like in tears, but they were mad tears. They weren't scared tears anymore. It moved me into action, you know.
Right.
And with that, I'm like, well, I guess I'm the 1%, you know. I certainly am not by income, but I guess I'm going to have to prove this to myself and prove this to everyone that I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if I can do it, I can help someone else.
Oh my gosh. After you were in the emergency room, how did you start this plant-based journey? I mean, did you just go
Oh,
home today's the day, and you just cleaned out your house? What did you do? How did you do this?
okay. Well, I have to go back just a little ways. So around 2010, but this was before this happened. I had a girlfriend who was very into the raw food diet. So she was a raw vegan.
Right.
And she really wanted to, she was coming to Portland where I live, which is Vegantopia, right? We have all the vegan restaurants and everything. And she wanted to go to this particular raw food restaurant, which was called Blossoming Lotus. She asked me to meet her there. And I had this raw food. What? That doesn't,
Yeah.
picturing raw bread dough or raw. I knew she was vegan, so it couldn't be raw meat, but I just
Mm-hmm.
thought, what do they give you? Salad and carrots? And it just didn't sound good to me at all. And so
Yeah.
I was planning on meeting her. And then, very frankly, I was planning on binging on the junk food that I was addicted to. I had it all planned out. I was going to go meet her and eat whatever rabbit food there was, and then go eat my real food
Food.
afterward, you know, because I
Mm-hmm.
was a very big compulsive eater, and my whole life revolved around what I was going to eat, when I was going to eat, how I was going to eat without someone knowing about it. That was my plan. And what I didn't expect is I got to the restaurant and I tried their little sampler platter thing, and it was incredible. It was so good that I almost wanted to cry because I was like, oh my goodness, you're telling me this is healthy food. She spent all of dinner telling me about how good it was for me and how much better she felt and how much weight she had
Mm-hmm.
released and all that good stuff. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I could eat this. This actually tastes good. I could do this.
Right.
And it made me want to try again. So that got me going. And for a long time, I ate a very gourmet raw food, like very high fat. Now I know it's very high fat. I had to change some things. But I took off the first 140 pounds doing that, doing
Mm-hmm.
the raw food diet. And so when after then some things happened in the middle. As I said, I'm a compulsive eater. I wasn't able to stay on it. I wasn't able to maintain that. And it was too bad because I had said I took off 140 pounds. I was doing really well. Some things happened with my parents. I lost both my parents within 6 months of each
Oh
other.
gosh, that's a tough
And
one.
yeah, and I was their caregiver.
Oh.
And I had moved in with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and now I needed to move out of her condo. So I was just going through a lot of stuff right then. I had slowly started to put the weight back on. And
Oh, that's
yeah,
tough.
so about half of it came back on, which is, my pattern, because this is the third time in my life when I've taken off more than 100 pounds. I hope when people hear that, they'll
Don't give up.
maybe they'll
Yeah.
think, well, hey, she kept at it and she finally
Did
figured
it.
out what worked for her, and maybe I
Yay.
can figure out what works for me. When I had that scare, then I decided I was going to try the raw food diet again, and that's kind of when I started my channel. I was, I, I didn't know what else to do. That had worked better for me than anything else. And I was firmly convinced that a plant-based diet was the proper diet for me and honestly for humans. But then I was an ethical vegan for many reasons, not only for the animals, but also for the environment, also because I care about the world and I care about people hungry. Yeah. So I knew that vegan was the way to go. And I ended up doing not just a raw food diet, but including some starch, and that made it so that I could stick with it. And that seemed to be the key.
Well, did you follow like McDougall with starch, or did you go with like who
so
did you follow anyone?
Yeah. So I first started out with, I read McDougall's program for maximum weight loss, and I had read Dean Ornish's Eat More, Weigh Less, which is very similar. When I decided I needed to add back starch, I'm like a fangirl of all the plant-based doctors. I know a lot of us are, but I really love Dr. Greger's book. I think Dr. Furman's got a lot of merit too. So I looked for a plant-based diet that was really high in nutrition. So a lot of beans, a lot of sweet potatoes, a ton of vegetables, a lot of, the cruciferous vegetables, things like that. And so the diet, the thing I ended up with in the end was Chef AJ's plan, which is like, it's basically McDougall maximum weight loss, but specifically tailored for food addicts.
Yeah.
And that was definitely me. Yeah. So
what was your food that just would set you off?
Oh my goodness. Well, before I gave up animal products, it was animal products. I was horribly addicted to, pizza and cheese and ice cream and I would plan my binges around what kind of gross fast food I would get. It makes me really sad and sick about it now, but that's where I was. I have to love the me that I was and forgive her for the mistakes that she made. And I feel bad for how I fed my kids when they were younger and things like that. But all we can do is do better when we know better, is the way I think about it now.
Right.
And I was a sugar fiend, just a straight up sugar, flour, pastries, any kind of
salt was mine. That was my big one. Yeah.
I like salt. I have a hard time completely giving, Chef AJ's program would prefer that you completely give up salt, but the only like non-negotiables are like sugar and flour and alcohol, and I'm completely off of those. And I'm completely off of processed food, so I don't eat anything out of packages or cans, or it's amazing to me from where I came from, which was all processed too.
Right. Well, so how much you lost 275? So what was your highest weight?
436 pounds was the highest. Wow. So I'm at 161 was last Wednesday. I weigh in every Wednesday on my channel. And I was so excited, Jean. I think, so I have been, overweight and then obese and then morbidly obese. And then they had to invent a new category for people like me, which was severely morbidly obese. So this time when I was 161, I put it in the BMI calculator to, and it just said overweight. I crossed back down into merely overweight, which I know sounds funny, but that was
I get that. My analogy for me, my big moment, because I've at this point I'm close to coming on 100 pounds for me.
That's great.
My big moment was when, because I used to shop a lot at Dress Barn, and they have two sides. One side is for larger people, and then the other side is for normal sized people. And I'll never forget being in the dressing room, and they had to go, because I was smaller than the smallest size on the big size, and they had to go over and get clothes for me from the other side.
That's so
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. When that
You
happened,
crossed over.
I crossed over. I crossed over. So that was huge for me. That was a, big head moment. So,
Yes. And that's, honestly, how I picked my goal weight was two things. By the time I hit my goal weight, which is 136 pounds, I will have taken off an even 300 pounds. And that boggled my
wow.
mind right there.
Wow.
That's a lot of weight. And then the other thing is it also puts my BMI at 24.9. So 24.9 is normal. 25 is not, is overweight. And so
So you
I'm
just
like,
got under.
once in my life, that would literally be probably after birth because I was a normal birth weight. And then I've never seen it again. I've been overweight my whole life.
Yeah.
And so that will be the first time that will be crossing into normal for me. And I'm ready to get there.
I
After
bet.
47 years, I'm ready to get there.
I bet. So it took that was my next question is how long has this journey taken you?
I'm gonna just if I, I've been. It's so hard to answer that question. It seems like such a straightforward question, but for me, where do I start from? I was on my first diet when I was 11, and honestly, I was either always on a
Yeah.
diet or breaking a diet
Right.
my whole life, and
Right.
I've lost over 100 pounds 3 different times. I've lost between 40 and 60 pounds, probably 20 times, made really concerted efforts to do this, promised myself this time is the time, one thing that I'm going to say that it really started in earnest in 2010
Mm-hmm.
when I did that raw food diet. At least it got me started, and I managed to took off 140, managed to keep off 70, and then I built on that once I started my channel. But around that time, around 2014, my mama was dying and I was taking care of her. I had
Mm.
been doing really well. It was really challenging for me because
It's a tough
she,
time.
yep, and she was not a plant-based eater. And I was making all her favorite foods and being, really tempted to go back to my old ways. And
Mm-hmm.
um, she sat me down and I was like, oh, goodness, what's this going to be about? And she said, you know what? I'm not going to be here and I'm not going to be able to take care of you anymore. And I need to know that you're going to do this and you're going to take care of yourself. I need you to promise me
Oh,
that you won't fall apart. You're doing so well right now, and I need you to not fall apart when I go.
that's a
And
tough conversation.
yeah, she loved me
Mm.
so much. I say that the woman who gave me life saved my life too, because once I made that promise to my mom, it just felt like it was a point of no return.
Right. Right.
I knew that I couldn't promise to be perfect or even to do a good job because I had a terrible track record of working my very hardest and
Right. Right.
putting my largest effort forward, and still every time I'd end up in the dirt on my face,
Ugh. It's so tough.
pulling it back
I
up.
know. I share your pain because I've been on that same roller coaster.
Yep.
Probably not the same as extreme, but been there, done that, and yeah, I know it's a tough journey, and being an emotional leader, it's tough
Yep.
when you're hit with such, your parents leaving within 6 months of each other, and
Yep.
knowing that there's no safety net after that, and tag you're it. So you're the
Yep.
next generation. So those are some huge, milestones to do. So did your doctors throughout the way, did they support you doing a plant-based diet, or did they have no clue?
Some of them did. And
Okay.
so I am lucky enough that, for one thing, I was lucky enough to have, for about 10 minutes, I got to have Craig McDougall as my doctor. So that was
Okay.
really great. The reason why it was so brief is because our schedules didn't match.
Right.
He was a doctor for the healthcare organization that I belonged to, but just for a really short amount of time. So I got to see him for one visit. By the time I knew he was there, he was already on his way out. But That was when I had already taken off around 160 pounds. So he was awesome. He really helped to quell my fears because, I still had high cholesterol, and I thought,
Uh-huh.
my goodness, am I ever going to be able to have normal cholesterol? I've been vegan for so long and it's still terrible. And he just was like, don't even worry about that. He sounded like a stab, like, it's the food. Don't worry about it. It will come down on its own. And he was perfectly right. It has come down on its own finally. It just took a long time because
Wow.
of the genetic side of it. But so that was really wonderful. I had him. And then I do belong to a healthy living program that was with my healthcare organization. And so I got access to some plant-based doctors and plant-based, some really wonderful nurses that would check in on me and encourage me. But
When you had that support, did it help?
oh my goodness, it helps so much. And again, I talk to so many people that say, I'm the only vegan in my whole town, or I'm
Mm.
trying to do this way of eating and my family doesn't support me and they actually sabotage me and stuff. And I
Mm.
just tell people, get support wherever you can find it. And thank God for the internet, seriously,
Right?
because yeah, I have my Facebook group that I have myself called The Butterfly Effect, like my channel. And then I have my YouTube channel, and man, those people have been so there for me. Um, I have had some relapses even on this journey. Like my last one was last September,
Mm-hmm.
um, and put like serious relapse. Put back on 60 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Took back off again. Proud of myself for that.
Good.
But I think it's kind of good to see a real person's journey.
Right. Well,
It's like I'm not perfect.
what was your triggers when you stopped? I mean, okay, and
Yes.
then you put on 60 pounds. What was
Yeah.
it what trigger? What happened?
Jean, I am such a compulsive eater. What it was, this is so crazy. There was a plant-based ice cream on sale for like a crazy amount. I think it was on sale for like $1.
Right?
And I thought, oh my goodness, that's too good of a deal to pass up. I'm
Yeah.
just going to have it this one time, right? The lies we tell ourselves when
Yes.
we're under the influence of our drug, right? And so I'm just going to have it this one time. And then it was so good. And
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
yep, it was still on sale and it kept being on sale. And then, well, then while you're off your plan, so you might as well have X, Y, and Z that you have been craving. And it might be plant based, but it sure isn't oil free and it sure isn't unprocessed. And so that's what I did. I fat veganed myself right back up
Wow.
60
Yes.
pounds.
I mean, I know a lot of
Yeah.
very unhealthy vegans. I know a lot,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because you can easily do it eating the processed foods and eating, because what they do is when they take out the animal products, they replace it with a lot of oil and
Oil,
sugar and
sugar,
salt.
flour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
there's a
I stay
book.
away from that.
There's a book called by Michael Moss. Fat, Sugar, Salt.
I've read
Fantastic
that.
read. Fantastic read. I mean, he's
Yes,
great.
and it's all deliberate. That's what gets me is
Yeah.
they see somebody like me and they go, I can hook her. I can, and I take it personally because it almost killed me.
Right.
Um, I was a very sick person, and not only that, but even if I wasn't dying, it was definitely stealing my joy.
Right.
You
Oh,
can't
absolutely.
go through your life in pain and just feeling so bad about yourself. That's one of the best things about this whole journey is I just feel like I'm in integrity with my own values and with I'm actually doing what I say I'll do, and that just feels so good.
It
And
does.
I don't think I've ever completely had that.
Well, as you were starting to lose your weight, and I think this is a question that nobody really talks about, but I want to ask did you have a lot of loose skin?
I really do. I do. I still do, and I haven't had surgery or anything, although I won't rule that out. So part of it is just heredity, how much your skin is going to bounce back. I actually got pretty lucky there. So I have pretty good skin for that kind of thing. Part of it is your age when you lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 47, so, it's lost some elasticity because of my age. And then part of it is just the sheer amount that you have to take off. If you think about a latex balloon and you blow it way up, then when it comes back down, it's never going to go back to its
original shape. Yeah.
And 300 pounds, I don't know anybody that can take off 300 pounds without having some loose skin. I have pretty much made peace with it. To be honest with you, what bugs me the most are my upper arms, because I feel like a flying squirrel.
The wings.
Yeah. They call it the bat wings. I feel more like a flying squirrel. I believe I can fly, but I probably don't. I try to keep a sense of humor about it. I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot easier to hide some upper arm flab than it is to hide 300 pounds of fat. So,
Fair point.
Thank God for clothes.
Yes. No, I don't want to be going on the nudie beach. That's for sure.
Yeah. It does bug me, like the little waddle under my chin, and sometimes I'll catch sight of my arms in a video or something, and I'll be like, oh, I just wish I didn't have that. But if it bugs you enough, you can get it taken off. It doesn't bug me enough right now. Honestly, I did this to save my life and to be here for my kids.
Yeah.
I want to say to moms, I feel like moms spend so much time taking care of everybody but themselves.
Right.
I was a single mom. My kids were, since my kids were 2 years old and 2 weeks old. So that was some poor planning on my part, but I have taken care of everybody else. I took care of my kids, and then I took care of my parents, and that was my privilege. Both of those have been the best and most meaningful parts of my life. But who I forgot to take care of was the person you really need around. Yeah. And I now think of it as the ultimate act of taking care of your family is to take care of yourself. And what I mean by that is when my parents lost their health, partly because of lifestyle diseases. I mean, it's true. That's what happened. It was partly because of that. And so when they lost their health, not only did they lose their freedom and their money and their independence, and their lives shrank down so far, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, right? I definitely don't want that for myself.
It's tough. Just from the day-to-day aspects of it. And I know, because my family has dealt with this, our whole lives. I mean, both sides of my family have issues. And, I think one of the things that one of my family members said when they were starting to lose some of their weight was, I can't wait to go to Disney so I can actually ride the rides and not have to get the extra seatbelt, to go around, or to be able to ride on an airplane seat and not have to worry about taking up 2 seats. Which
at one point I did have to buy an extra seat. I did have to do that at one point. But, and then the other side is, so I don't want my kids to have to take care of me the way I had to take care of my parents. And when you think about your family, is that the life you want for them? Like, if you don't take care of yourself, somebody's going to end up taking care of you. And is that what you want for your kids? And so that's really motivating for me. I have to think the best way I can take care of my kids and protect their future is to take care of their mom.
Right.
And I don't want to think about their lives without me in the picture. I want to be there. I want to play with my grandkids. I do want to go to Disney. Actually, I really want to go to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, I haven't been there either, so that's on my bucket list.
I'm really excited about that. And I just recently flew on a plane, and I was so excited. I took a picture of the seatbelt because I was like, it buckles and I have like 6 inches and I'm not even sitting in my neighbor's seat, It'll be little things. I take the train to work and I'll see a seat available and I'll be like, oh, I'll be sitting on that guy's lap no, I won't. I could fit there, I get to sit down. So it's the little things, and I never get sick of it. I never get sick of like holding up the underwear and thinking, these can't possibly be my underwear.
Yeah.
It's the miracle of the underpants every morning, Jean. I put them on and they magically fit. It's the craziest
I
thing.
know, I know. And just
Yeah.
and being able to go buy clothes and
Yeah.
try on, I think, what I call normal sizes, and being able to that mindset, because I just did that. I Chef AJ said to purge all your clothes, get rid of them.
Yes.
So I did. I went through my
Yep.
closets and I had a stack, and I posted on my Facebook group, and it's just this enormous pile of clothes, and I must have taken out 2/3 of my closet of varying sizes, and most of them couldn't. They were so big on me, I couldn't believe how just
Yep.
enormous that they were. So I got rid of all of them. Little by little, I've been going shopping, and I saw this skirt, and most of my skirts were always past my knee or mid calf. Well, this was actually just a little bit above my knee, and it was the first. And I'm like, no, I can't wear that
Yeah.
because in my head, I'm so glad no one can hear what's going on in my head because you
Yeah.
know there's this conversation going on, and I said, no, I'm too fat to wear a skirt like that. So, but I put it on and I went, ooh, that looks pretty good. And you're just shocked. And it doesn't matter what the cost is. Thank God, it wasn't a very expensive skirt, but it's like, I don't care what it is. I have to have that skirt. I have to have it.
Absolutely.
So,
It's
yeah.
it's the little things. It's one thing when I would walk with my kids are adults now, 24 and 22, but when I would walk with them, they didn't do it on purpose, but I walked so slow. I walked like at the speed of a turtle, like walking through peanut butter or something, that I would always get left behind. And it would bother me. I would be like, I'm getting left behind in life
Right.
because they're going out, they're starting their lives, they're having such adventures, and there's so much I can't do, or it's just uncomfortable, or I feel like I have to stay close to home.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I was always getting left behind. And now, just even walking, the joy of like walking with my daughter, and we walk
Yeah.
5K, and I keep right up with her, and she's a
Or
young
just
healthy
even,
woman.
small things like it was my
Yes.
husband's, it was a major birthday. So as a gift for him, I gave him a helicopter ride around Manhattan. So,
How cool.
it was, except I was petrified. At one point, the helicopter went like this, and I'm like sitting by the door. And the only thing that's holding you in is, because it's like this little piece of plastic door. And you're like, seriously, that's a door?
I
And
know.
the seatbelt is just holding you in, and you're just like looking down, going, "Yeah, that's a good 500 foot drop down there." Yeah, I had,
Whoa.
you know, but for the most
I
part,
won't be
and it
doing
was, yeah,
that.
but it was exciting that I got into they didn't even ask, how much do you weigh, or no, they did because they have to balance it out. But I was okay with, it's like, yeah, I'm not even
You're like,
close
this
to the
isn't even a
limit,
scary number.
I'm not even close. Or my husband and I just we did a Segway tour. I don't know if you've ever been on those little Segway things,
Oh yeah, I've
and
never been on one, but they look really fun.
they're awesome. They're so awesome. And so we're putzing around, but there's a weight limit. It's 270 pounds, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not even in that range. And it was
Isn't that great?
exciting. It was. I saw some people taking the Segway tour who were coming close to up that upper end, and I'm just looking at them going, yeah, that's a tough one. Because
Yeah,
it's while you're just standing there and leaning and balancing, you have to be able to, absorb from your knees. You have to have good working knees because you have to be
you have
able
to be able to
to.
stand that long.
Well, you do. You have to be able to stand, and your feet start to get numb. Because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of circulation going on. So, but I'm just looking at some of these people because we were in, when we went traveling a little bit, there was, it was a lot of tourist town and stuff, and you'd see these tourists go by on the segways, and it was like, wow, that was because what it's like, and you just feel so
Yep.
bad for these people that are just riding these segways, and that it's tough on them. You just know, but
Yeah, I find myself like getting up for heavy people on the train because I just remembered how much
yeah,
it sucked to
yeah,
have to stand for the whole train ride. So I'm like,
yeah,
trying to sit down. And it feels great that
doesn't
I
it?
can
It
do
does.
that.
It does. It really does. It feels good that you can do these things, and that you're I don't know. Plus, I mean, helping other people along the way. I mean,
Oh yeah.
your videos that you've done. have been remarkable in that they inspire so many people.
Thank you. That's what makes the whole thing worth it for
Yeah.
me, as I feel like I got my get out of jail free card. I wish, I spent so much time like working on diet and even
Right.
on trying to work out and everything. And I think if I had it to do over again, I would have just started with working on what's up here, like
Yeah. Well,
that's
that's
what I
it.
really had to do is I had to get that mindset.
It's the psychology. I mean, totally.
Yep.
It's the pleasure trap. I mean, I can't say enough about Doug Lyle and,
Oh, I
Alan
know.
Goldhammer, how they focus on the
Absolutely.
pleasure trap. And once you open that door, boy, it's really tough to close. It's like Pandora's box. And it's
Yes.
tough to close that box. It
And it
really
really is
is.
a trap. It is an absolute trap.
Hmm.
And, also the support I've gotten from Chef AJ's group, we call ourselves the tribe.
Yeah, the ultimate weight loss. I mean, that's a fantastic
Ultimate weight
program.
loss.
Yep. I
It
mean,
really is. And
her journey has been phenomenal.
yes.
Phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
And I see such a kindred spirit in her. And a lot of people, Chef AJ is kind of a tough cookie, right? She doesn't sugarcoat anything,
Yep.
right?
Nope.
No sugar.
Nope.
We're
Nope.
we're no sugar, but she has a complete heart of gold. She is such a
She
kind
does.
person, and she has been so kind to me.
Yes.
I got to meet her I went on the Holistic Holiday at Sea cruise.
Yeah.
We bumped into each other both with ginormous trays of salad. We had these ginormous
Hmm.
platters of salad. And I was like, I'm too scared to talk to her, but I want to. So
Yeah.
I had a book with me that had my before pictures in it and stuff. And I was like, you don't know me, but I'm in your tribe. And this is what I used to look like. And thank you so much for this program because it's worked for me where nothing else has worked. And
Right.
we became friends I like to think we're friends on the cruise. And she stayed in touch with me and she's just been phenomenal.
She is. She's
Such a good
amazing.
person.
She really is, and her journey has been tough too. I mean, and it's
Yes,
again, it's changing that mindset and really
absolutely.
realizing, first of all, the addiction that you are. I feel like I should be. Hi, I'm Gene Schumacher, and I'm a food addict. And standing up and
It's true, right?
yeah,
But that was also freeing because I had gone to like Overeaters Anonymous, and I respect programs if they work for people, but it really didn't work for me at
right.
all because they told me I had a spiritual problem and a character flaw, and just made me feel. I ended up feeling demoralized and feeling more, they say, I realized I couldn't help myself. Well, I
Yeah,
had to help myself.
yeah.
I mean,
Who else
God
is
has
going to do
been,
it?
don't get me wrong, God is getting me through this, but he expected me to do my bit, I had
Right,
to do a lot of effort. I'm the one that gets me up and takes me walking every day. I'm the one that chooses kale when I want cookies. So,
right, right.
what I'm saying is it didn't feel very empowering. And I love what AJ says. And she's like, we have evidence, we have medical evidence. It's our brains are not equipped to deal with this
Oh my
diobesogenic,
gosh.
world that we live in. It's a dirty world and we have brains that aren't made for this problem, right? We're
Yeah.
designed for famine, not for all this artificially created frankenfood that
Right.
is designed to get you hooked and keep you stuck and keep you
They do
fat and
that.
sick
Yep. Yep. They
until
sure
it
do.
kills you. And then they have to hook kids so that when they kill off the adults, the kids will be hooked. So it was so freeing because it was like, your fat is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And this is how you do it. Just leave it out altogether. Just abstinence from, if you don't have it at all, if you don't have it in your house, it's
Right.
pretty easy to leave it alone,
Right. It
and
is. Well, I hear you're writing a
so,
book.
yeah. Yes. So I'm just writing a book about my experience. And again, it's mostly focused on what I did to get my head in order. And
Mm-hmm.
after at first I thought, does there really need to be another book? But every book that I read when I was trying to take off weight was
Uh-huh.
really focused on this is what to eat and this is how to exercise and everything. And I really wanted that. I knew what to do. Like a lot of people, I felt like I was a very intelligent person in every other area of my life. So why couldn't I get this, to like Doug Lyle talks about, like,
It's you got to get this.
You got to get the head in the game. And so that is what this is focused on, the how. I know what to do. I just don't know how to get myself to do it.
Right.
That's where I was. And that's what I escaped from myself. And so it's just my journey of how I did that. And my prayer and my hope is that it can help somebody else, especially people like me that, I always feel like there's some people that are like, oh, I ate a sad diet and then I learned about veganism and it instantly changed my life, and I changed overnight and I dropped 100 pounds and I've never gone back, And I'm like, oh my goodness, God bless you. But that is not my story. I'm like, I found out about veganism and I did really good for a while until I didn't. And then I lost it and I gained it back, and I lost it and gained it back. And so I hope and I pray that this is the time that I lost it and I took it off. Right. And I want to share that with other people, how they can do that.
I know, because if I hear one more person say, oh yeah, I dropped like 400 pounds overnight, and, and it's like, really? That's, not my journey either. So, and I actually have
people floundering, I see people going, people that I know had really a strong heart for veganism. Like they wanted it for other reasons besides just the size of their hiney, And then now I see them going back to like paleo or keto and I just worry about their hearts, and I worry about the planet, and I worry about the animal, I worry. But I feel like people are so desperate that they'll do almost anything.
Right. Well, and a lot of people have a lot of weight to lose. I mean, that's one of the things my partner in crime, Nancy Norby Matthews, out in Plant-Based Chico, share her Facebook group. We constantly are challenging each other. So I have Plant-Based Westchester on, so east of the Mississippi is Plant-Based Westchester, west of the Mississippi is Plant-Based Chico. So we have East Coast versus West Coast. And so we're doing challenges, to help people and to try and support one another, because having that support is so mission critical. You've got to be able to help one another, because it is a tough journey. A lot of times you don't get support at home, in your family, friends. People try and derail you at many points.
Yep. And here I live in Portland, Oregon, which is, many, many vegan restaurants, none of which can I go to, I mean, they don't support, they still use a lot of oil. They still use a lot of processed food and fake meats and things I don't choose to eat. I'm not kicking anybody that is at that point, because
no, it's a transition.
It's still better than what we were eating, right?
So what advice can you give to people that are just starting out to become plant-based?
Absolutely. So I have 3 pieces of advice that I think have been pretty key for me. The first would be, education. Find out, read all the books, read all the plant-based doctors. I'm a big fan of Dr. Greger, How Not to Die. I really like, and I really like all the, like Dr. McDougall and all of the plant-based docs, Dr. Esselstyn. They just have blazed a lot of trails, and Dr. Physicians Committee, Dr. Bernard. He helped my son go vegan, so I'm very grateful to him. And so get education is the first thing I would say. And then become really solid as to why you want to do this. You need a deep and lasting motivation. My motivation is I made that promise to my mom. I cannot break my promise to my mom. And I love my kids, and I don't want my kids to have to take care of me. And so that when I'm about to, reach for the thing that I should not, that I choose not to eat, that's one of the things I say is I could do that, but I won't, because I believe in my mission. I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm worth it. I deserve to have a life. I wasn't made to live my life in pain. I want that. I might want this, thing that I want temporarily right now, but I want this so much more. I want a life so much more.
Yeah.
And it's not worth, there's nothing that's worth trading years of your life for. No matter
It's
the
true.
yummiest food you can think of,
It's true.
I wouldn't trade a minute. Be really clear about your why and why you're doing this. And then the last thing is exactly what you said. Get support. Find it
Oh,
where you
yeah.
can. You know, it is out there. I
Mm-hmm.
have my YouTube channel. I could not have done it without the
Well,
people who have
you have an
supported
interesting
me.
title for the
Yeah.
YouTube channel. It's called the Butterfly Effect. Can you tell me
Yes.
where'd you come up with that name?
So there's the butterfly effect is actually a meteorological phenomena, a weather phenomena, that there was a theory that something as small as the flapping of a butterfly wings could over time change the the wind direction and cause a hurricane or whatever. Okay. So when you're 436 pounds, you might not realize this, but even if you eat perfectly, you won't be your ideal weight the next day
No?
or the next day or the next day. I knew I was looking at a very long journey. I
Right.
didn't maybe know I was looking at a 7-year journey, but I knew I was looking for a long path, right?
Right.
And I just felt so helpless. I felt like a prisoner in my own body. I could barely walk. I could only stand like 5 minutes. I was so limited by health conditions that I just felt like, what can I even do? Like I thought, you're done for. You're
Right.
sunk because you got yourself in this and you can't get back out. And so then it came to me that what can I do today that I'll thank myself for tomorrow? What small effort I can eat perfectly today. I'm not going to drop 10 pounds overnight, but I might drop 10 pounds this month. Right.
Right.
And I also didn't focus on the outcome as so much as the process goal. So today I'm going to walk this far. Today I'm going to eat these foods. Today I'm not going to eat that. And so what can I do today that I will thank myself for tomorrow? Because I really thank that girl that I was when I was 436 pounds. I thank her so much for trying one more time. I thank her so much for taking those walks when it hurt like the Dickens. I would literally like cuss under my breath because I was in so much pain, but I just had to do it. And if you know me, I don't really cuss. I don't like to cuss. So it was bad. It hurt a lot. But I'm so thankful that I did it. And I just want people to know that we always think of like the big, dramatic, drastic change, but that's not what moves you forward. If you think about a ship, if a ship is going this way, right?
Right.
And it changes course even 1 degree, right? It's going to end up in a whole different place
Eventually.
than,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because small changes made really consistently, and I think consistency is a big key,
Right.
add up to big results. And so here I am, on this side of the journey saying, thank you so much to my former self. And I know people put their before pictures up and they're like, oh, I hate this picture and everything. And I don't. I look at that girl and I say, you were brave, you were strong, you did it. And I'm so grateful. And we're never going back. And we're going to help some people. We're going to help some people get here too.
And you are. Your YouTube channel videos are amazing and they resonate with so many people, and I've just heard so many good things, and I've seen quite a few of your videos, and you're just awesome. So thank you for sharing your journey, because wow, you put yourself out there. You really do. And it's a tough journey. So congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing your time tonight.
And hey, I'm gonna have to I gotta join your challenge, but darn it, I think I'll be on Team Chico because I'm on the
And
West
that's
Coast.
okay. That's okay. They just won we have a trophy. It's called the Golden Tater Award.
I love it.
So, yes. And my girlfriend Nancy and I, we call ourselves the Starch Queens. So,
yes.
starchqueens.net, that's our website. And
long may you reign.
Yes, right? She's the Queen of Hearts because Nancy is like putting a warm blankie around you. She's just so caring and compassionate, and she's just got a heart of gold. And I'm the queen of diamonds because I like the facts. Give me the
Yes.
facts, and I'm researching, and I'll tell you, here's the facts, and so we kind of complement each other so well. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, we have a good time. We laugh. Oh my gosh, we do. Anytime we get together, we're just constantly laughing. So it's fun. Well, thank you again, and all the best on the rest of your journey.
Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening.